Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. My guest today is Bob Chapman, the International Forcaster. Hello, Bob. How are you?
Well, pretty good. I hope you are as well today.
I'm still alive, still out there trying to get information out, trying to get the news out. It's been quite hectic here in Tucson with the assassination of Judge Roll and the collateral damage, possibly, of Gabrielle Giffords, the congresswoman from Arizona, who's going to survive and
right.
who as well survived being shot in the head. And they within 1 hour, Bob, within 1 hour of her shooting, ABC News was on the horn to me, wanting to know if I knew the shooter. And I said, no, I never heard of the shooter. I never heard his name before you just told me what his name was, Jared Wagner. And the picture that they put out over the internet about this of this guy was supposed to be a mugshot, but they had his head shaved, so he looked like a skinhead. And I think the reason they were calling me is trying to link me because I'm critical of Israel. I'm critical of the Jewish control of our money in our film studios and our news media. And yeah, I think they were trying to link us the same way they did with the NAACP, trying to link me to the Tea Party somehow. So to make everybody think you're a racist, man, if you go to a Tea Party. And obviously, I'm not a racist. I'm not. I don't care what race or what religion you are, because that's kind of protected by our Constitution. What's your take on that whole incident? And Judge Roll, he was requested to be there, but there were no film crews, and there were no cameramen. Gabrielle Giffords didn't have anybody filming her talking. Nothing. And there was no U.S. Marshals protecting a judge that had been threatened 200 times. What's your take on that, Bob?
Well, were there U.S. Marshals there?
No. Not that I know of.
They had been pulled off of him.
Yes, sir.
Well, you know, he had told the White House that they couldn't arbitrarily access the retirement funds of people on Friday, which was the day before. And he was also involved in another decision, which was, I can't remember what it was offhand, which was damaging to the elitists, we'll say. And when I saw what happened, I knew right away what it was. And they wanted him out. He was the target. She happened to be there. And that's probably why he shot her in the head, in the side of the head. You know, not between the eyes or behind the ear or something like that. And the shooting of all the other people was just a cover. And especially the little girl. That's the way they set these things up. I think it was a government plan. I can't prove it, but it has all the earmarks of it. Just like the riots and the fleeing of the president from Tunisia. I can't prove it, but it has all the earmarks of a CIA operation. So it's the same kind of thing. And they're going to keep on doing what they want to do, and they're going to keep on killing people who disagree with them.
Well, they've been doing that for a long time, Bob. I'm working on an article right now called "The Most Dangerous Man in America," and I point out that term was used in reference to Bill Cooper by President Clinton years ago. But
well, this time you ought to put a picture of David Rockefeller at the airport in Santiago, Chile, when he was getting screamed at by someone who called him a monster and many other things. And he's the most dangerous man in America as far as I'm concerned. Incidentally, I have that link either in the last issue for Wednesday or on Saturdays, I don't know which. I think it was in Wednesdays. And if you check those links, you'll see they're in there. We run a lot of links. because I just can't cover everything and rewrite it myself, and unless it's very important.
Now, who they consider the most dangerous man of America. I mean, they've done they labeled Bill Cooper that, but they shot Gordon Call. They shot Randy Weaver's family. None of those people, and they killed 17 little children in Waco. None of those people had committed any crimes or anything. I think the most dangerous man is America are, and there's more than one. They're individuals capable of critical thinking. They've got many names for us. They refer to us as the lone wolves, anti-government, right-wing extremists, racist, anti-Semites, and
terrorists overall.
Yeah, the whole war on terror, I said, was a war against anybody, anywhere in the world that didn't want to go along with one world government of the bankers, by the banksters, and for the banksters. How would you agree with that?
Most certainly. I've been in that category for a long, long time, like you have. And I was forced to leave the country a long time ago. And I'm glad I did, because I'm still alive and they're still killing people. And they probably would have came after me, like they have yourself. And so I'm out of harm's way. They take a lot of digging to find me, I'll tell you that. And particularly in view of the fact that I move frequently. So they can't nail it down. But anyway, that's the way they operate. You saw the guy they found in the dumpster in New Jersey. I don't know what he did, but it obviously was something that was bad enough for them to kill him. Was it General Wheeler?
Yes, Joe Wheeler.
Yeah. And the woman in Washington whose car blew up, I don't know what she did, but has all the earmarks of an assassination. So expect lots more. In fact, I think it'll pick up. They're getting more and more brazen all the time, and they do what they want to do. I mean, I got a letter this morning from someone who is fighting foreclosure in court, and I had told him about the problem that exists secretly where the 50 attorney generals are trying to make some kind of a deal with the bankers who screwed everybody. And I told him, I said, you can't get any help from the court system because they own it. You step out of line, you're dead. And people who have been pointed to that system over the past 20 or 30 years are people who will do what they're told. They're pliable. I mean, they picked up this attorney in L.A. and had him in jail for a year and a half for saying that the judicial system in Los Angeles was corrupt. Finally, he got out. The man's a scholar. He's a professor. A doctor. Now, he's right. I lived in Los Angeles for 36 years. I knew the decision on the trial of O.J. Simpson before they ever went to trial. I was told by somebody in the attorney's office, the L.A. County, whatever they call them, what was going to happen. And the reason I was told is that this individual was supposed to get the case. And I'd known him for, well, maybe 25 years. And he was irate, and I still am a very good friend of his. He's no longer there in that office. He resigned. And that's why he didn't get the case. And he had won 24 murder one cases in a row and had never been defeated in court. And there were a couple of other people who were as eminent. And the attorney who handled part of the case for Simpson, which was Johnny...
Cochran?
I forget. Cochran.
Yes.
I knew him. because he was a very good friend of my friend, whose name I won't give you on the program. And this guy doesn't need any more heat than he's already had. And Johnny died. I think he had a heart attack, but I'm not sure. A very nice man. And so that's how I know so much about the judicial system. And that's how I am in the position to talk about it. So that's the kind of court system we got. We don't have a court system. You have a system of whatever they want it to be. They don't use the Constitution.
It's an extension of the whole...
There was a Supreme Court decision yesterday or the day before that said in court you don't have to, the judges don't have to follow the Constitution.
Well, the original 13th Amendment barred lawyers from, you know, having a title of nobility, from serving in the Congress. But that got taken out in the war of... the war with England following. I mean, all of these lawyers and judges, and they've also managed to use the Bar Association, the British Accredited Registry, to sidestep the whole concept of the Constitution, providing a separation of powers. If you've got bar English esquires in the Congress, in the executive branch, and in the judicial branch, you don't have much of a separation of powers, do you?
No. No, you don't. And I think, you know, because the avenues that were open previously to people to redress their grievances, as it's called in the Constitution, what's going to happen eventually, as they continue to deliberately destroy the economies and the finances of the United States and Western Europe, is that you're going to have demonstrations, and then you're going to have riots, and after that you're going to have the government overthrown. It's coming. Because it's just like putting the rat in the corner. You don't want to put him in the corner, because he's going to attack you. And he's going to go for your throat. And that's just going to happen with human beings in America and in Europe. They're going to do the same thing.
Now,
all we have to do is be patient. It's going to happen. There's no way back now.
They've set us up for the last 100 years, since every plank on the Communist Manifesto is intact in America. They've been setting us up for a revolution. They've just kicked out 1 million homeowners, kicked them out of their homes. 1 million families are homeless now, and the money we used to bail out the banks could have paid for the all of the mortgages in America, couldn't it?
Sure it could. But that's not what they're after. They want to nationalize housing. I wrote about it in the International Forcaster 8 years ago, and everybody thought I was crazy. I also said that Fannie and Freddie were broke, and everybody in the Beltway knew that, and that they would be nationalized as well, probably in a couple of years, and 3 years later it happened. And now the American people are taking all of the losses for the insuring of the mortgages by Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie, and FHA. And so, where was everybody else? Am I the only intelligent newsletter writer in the world? I mean, you know why these people can't get it? Because they don't understand the history. They don't understand what has happened before. And this all follows a pattern. It's not exactly the same, but it's somewhat the same. And if once you find out by study how they do this, it's easy to figure out what they're going to do next. But I think this time they're planning on using the military in the United States. And I'll tell you right now, the military is not going to suppress the American people.
But they're attacking. That's exactly what the Oath Keepers said. They said there's 10 orders we won't follow. We won't disarm Americans. We ain't going to put Americans in concentration camps. And the ADL and Southern Poverty Law have been attacking them full force now. And our veterans.
Well, the organizations like that, when these problems come to America, they'll have to be dealt with, that's all. It's pretty simple. We'll have a judicial system, but we won't have the same judges. And these people will be tried and they'll go to jail for what they've done. And some of them are going to get hung for treason. We can start on Wall Street and banking. I mean, it'll take us months and months and months. In fact, I've been thinking of reaching back into history and getting a hold of Madame Lafarge. All she did every day was write a list and hand it to Robespierre, and they collected the people and chopped their heads off. 30 million people in France, 300,000 people in a year lost their heads. And I like to put that on every program so that the people in Washington and New York will know what's waiting for them. Because if we ever take over and we try them, they're going to die one way or the other.
You know, I have said, I mean, the NAACP, the ADL, they've all tried to demonize me, and I have never advocated violence against anybody, but I have used the idea that I certainly wouldn't mind seeing some of these people hang after a fair trial by a non-controlled, honest judiciary.
No, that's exactly what I just said, and that is going to happen, and they're going to lose, and they're going to lose it all, and their families are going to lose it all, and it's going to set back the elitist, illuminist movement probably 200 or 300 years, because you're not going to get them all, and it's almost impossible because we don't know who all of them are, but believe me, the ones we know are going to have a problem, and they you know, they think we're blowing smoke. We're not. I mean, example, what do you and I have to lose? I mean, we're old men. We're going to die anyway.
That's right. None of us get out of this game alive.
So why don't we give them a pain in the butt on the way out?
My plan, I mean, that's, you know, my plan is to live to be 110 and break Social Security, but...
Well, I'm going to do 105 and break Social Security. Incidentally, I figured out one time... and I was a very high-income individual, and that I would have to live to be 105 to get the money back that I put into Social Security without interest. Not a very good deal.
No.
And I think probably here in the next couple of years, they're not only going to cut back on pensions. About 19% of the people in the country are covered by pensions. They're going to have to cut back probably eventually 2/3 because they just can't afford it. I mean, people are retiring and after 30 years and getting their last salary of $120,000 or $200,000 a year. That's crazy. Crazy.
Now, Bob, somebody on the chat room...
That's what I think is going to happen, too.
Somebody on the chat room is asking why you think gold and silver have recently pulled back in price.
Because J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, HSBC, and Citigroup are attacking them. And they're attacking gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and commodities. They want the stock market to go up because they want to herd money into there. But the main reason is there are over 30 class action lawsuits against HSBC, which is Hong Kong Shanghai Bank Corporation, and J.P. Morgan. And the suits are for rigging the silver market. And one of the suits is a RICO lawsuit, which is really going to scare them. And they're going to lose the lawsuits. They're going to have to pay these people, but they're naked short silver they can't cover. And that's why they're attacking commodities, gold and silver, and the shares. Particularly gold, because they want silver to follow gold down so that they can cover their shorts. and it's still not working. I mean, silver was up around 31.5. It's 27.25 right now, and it's got to be costing them a fortune to do what they're doing. But the minute they stop, it'll turn around, gold and silver and commodities, and it'll go right back up again. They were going to accomplish very little.
Bob, when Roosevelt took all the gold from the American people, they were paid $16 an ounce. A month later, after the banks had it all, the price was doubled.
That's true, but the banks didn't have it all. They only got about 25%.
Now, what?
That's it.
The information that I have heard is that the City of London, the Rothschild colony that the Queen has to ask permission to enter, the Rothschilds sit in the morning, they have their tea, and they raise a little flag on their desk to set the price of gold for that day. Is that accurate, or is that a rumor?
It used to be. And they left about, I'll say 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. And they were the leading member of the London Gold Pool. And their position was taken over by another entity that they indirectly controlled. But they're not in on the fixings. There's 2 fixings each day. And the reason why they got out of them is because they knew what was coming. And so they're not actively, officially operating. But I can promise you they're in the gold market 24/7.
What about our gold in Fort Knox? Is it there? Or has it been placed with titanium or whatever, with nice little gold plating bricks?
I have 2 subscribers, both of whom worked in the mint. Both were in the military, and their group would go in and guard, and they would also inventory the gold. And they don't know who the gold belonged to, nor did they know whether the bars were gold-plated tungsten bars. So we know that there's something there. And I'll assume it's gold, but I don't know who it belongs to.
I'm being asked if you think they will confiscate gold again as they did back in the 30s.
Only 2% of the people in America owned gold and silver coins or bullion. 0.8% own gold and silver shares. It is hardly worth their while to go after that. Now, if you said to me, hey, do you think they're going to go after America's guns? Maybe. Maybe. Because there are lots of guns out there. Everybody got them, 450 million of them.
Yes.
But they're not going to go after gold and silver. And in Europe, the percentages are the same. The real heavy owners are in India, China and Russia, and the Middle East. That's where the heavy owners of gold and silver are. And that's going to continue.
All right, somebody, Walter's telling me on the chat room that these tungsten bars were discovered in Hong Kong. Let me ask you about China. Now, there's a story floating around the internet about China building a commerce center up in the northwest, and they're supposed to use all Chinese labor. And have you heard about that? And what's the deal on that? Is China calling in their debt? Do they plan on colonizing us? Are they going to start moving people over here? I mean, if you go to San Jose, every other car is filled with Chinese or Japanese. I mean, it's certainly a heavy concentration there.
You mean San Jose, California?
Yes.
Hmm. Well, I haven't heard anything about this center, and I'm sure that if the man's
Idaho.
mentioning it...
It's in Idaho, they're telling me.
Oh. But, so what? You know, they've got the money. They can buy what they want, more or less.
Yes.
And they're going to do that. They're going to dump their money.
Okay, on that subject right there, the reports that I've been getting, and I've got them from numerous sources, is that foreign investors are coming to the United States, and what they're buying is farms. They're buying farms all over the country. And they're predicting a food crisis. The UN is predicting a worldwide food crisis. Now, what I've said, and you tell me if I'm accurate on this, anytime a communist regime takes over a country, they go after three classes of people in order, almost. They go after the farmers first because they don't want you being able to feed yourself. They go after the intelligentsia next. That's anybody that's smart enough to know what they're doing, well-read enough to understand what they're doing. And third, they go after the veterans and the law enforcement that are still loyal to the old regime. In that case, in our case, should be those of us that honor our oath to defend the Constitution. Is that an accurate statement?
It certainly is.
And what they're doing right now, you know, they tried to kill me a few years ago. I thought it was about 9/11. Now I'm starting to think that my pushing the concept of liberty villages, growing your own food, producing your own energy devices, right there on your own land, you know, is the way to stand up against the whole one world government banksters. And if they're buying up all of our farmland up here, they're setting up corporate farms. That's number 9 on the Communist Manifesto. Corporate farms, government control of agriculture. What's happening here on our farms and our food supply? I mean, not to mention the fact that genetically modified corn is basically all we're allowed to grow, and rats won't even eat it because it's already got the rat poison in it.
Well, living in the United States, that's a problem, and some other countries, but there's many countries that have not done that and won't do it. And they figure in time they'll be able to overcome that. But what they're after is food to send back to China. They're not going to sell it to Americans, they're going to ship it back. And that's really what that's all about.
That's right. What are Americans going to eat? I mean, we're already, if they use the gas, if the trucks stop running, the food in the cities dry up.
Yeah, and then you get revolution. You know, they may not even have time to plant the farms that they're purchasing. Because if the people won't eat, they'll revolt. There's 3 days supply of food in local markets, we'll call them, and that's it. That's why I have advocated for the last 10 years that people put away dehydrated and freeze-dried foods, water filter, and have something to defend their family with. And that's the first line of things that they should do. And there's a lot of items you can add to that, and many people have, including my families. And so that's a result of what you're talking about. But you know, China might be a threat on an international basis, but and they would really like to get rid of half their population, which is around 600 or 700 million. As we all know, after the Second World War and Mao Zedong took over, they killed 70 million of their own people. And then they have this one-child policy. And it's still a totalitarian communist government. But that fits good for Wall Street. They like that. They can make more money and make believe that they're not monsters when they in fact are. But programs like this and the internet are informing more and more people every day about what these people are up to. And along the way, these things that we've discussed are going to happen, and the game is going to